Archangel Michael says, I order you to open this right now. Heaven is not silent tonight. The skies above your name are lit with sacred light, and the thrones that were once still have stirred because of you. For many nights, heaven waited. For many hours, your name echoed softly through the corridors of eternity. And when you opened this message, beloved, the gates of glory shifted. Because this isn't just a message, it's the moment heaven wrote before time began. Archangel Michael is not whispering, he's weeping. But not with grief, with tears of joy. Because after everything, you made it here. And now, you are ready to receive what was kept hidden from the world but created for you alone. A heavenly council sat together. The elders. The witnesses. The angels. And God Himself. They reviewed your record, not your sins, not your failures, not your flaws, but your endurance. Your growth. Your secret prayers. Your silent tears. Your invisible victories. They watched how you smiled even when your heart was breaking. How you gave when you had little. How you kept walking even when your feet were weary. And in that sacred meeting, heaven reached one decision: you must be rewarded. This decision was not made lightly. Because the blessing you are about to receive is not small. It carries the weight of promises made over generations. Your grandmother prayed for this. Your ancestors longed for this. You suffered more than most because your reward will be greater than many. They kept it hidden because they needed you to grow into it. But now the scroll has been unsealed. Archangel Michael was given the authority to carry the message from that meeting. Not to the world. Not to your family. Only to you. He's been circling your life all day, waiting for you to open this. Because what is written within these words carries spiritual authority to unlock something that has been delayed for far too long. Not because of punishment, but because of perfection. The right time had to come. The right maturity had to form. The right doors had to be cleared of people who didn't value you. And now, that time has come. Beloved, do you feel it? That quiet trembling in your soul? That whisper in your spirit that says, this is not ordinary, it's because it's not. This is your unveiling. What heaven kept sacred is now being revealed to you, not because you begged for it, but because you became ready for it. You didn't chase applause. You chased purpose. You didn't settle for attention. You chose authenticity. And now, the very heavens that once watched you from afar are moving toward you with open arms. Archangel Michael isn't alone. He stands in your room surrounded by peace. Surrounded by angels. Surrounded by light that your natural eyes cannot see. But your soul knows. Your spirit recognizes this. Because before you were born into this world, you stood there once before. This is not just a miracle. It's a reconnection. You are remembering what your soul already knows. That you were never forgotten. That your path was always holy. That your tears were counted and stored. That your name has always been spoken with honor. And now, everything is about to change. Not slowly. Suddenly. Because when heaven speaks, earth must shift. And the scroll Michael carries is not filled with just words, it carries instructions. It carries access. It carries timing. And most importantly, it carries favor. Favor that cannot be earned, only released. And it has been released upon you now. You think you were forgotten, but in truth, you were hidden. Not hidden as in neglected, but hidden as in preserved. God kept you behind curtains not to punish you, but to prepare you. The pain you went through was never in vain. The delays were not denials. They were sacred pauses, divine moments where heaven said, "Wait, not yet, the moment must be perfect." And now, the moment has arrived. When Archangel Michael left that meeting in heaven, he did not walk, he flew with urgency. Because what was sealed in that meeting carries a time code. A divine countdown. And you have reached the hour where the scroll must be opened and the message must be delivered. There is a scroll hovering over your head even now. Not made of ink and parchment but of light and fire. It glows with words only your soul can understand. It speaks not to your mind but to your destiny. It speaks not to your current pain but to your eternal identity. And as Michael reads it aloud in the spirit realm, something inside you is being reawakened. Your heart remembers. Your soul leans in. Because this isn't new, this is home. And heaven is finally bringing you back into alignment with what was spoken over you in eternity. The council that met in your honor was no ordinary gathering. Seraphim who have never bowed before a mortal leaned low when your name was mentioned. The voice of the Lord echoed through the chambers with power and tenderness, "My child has passed the test. Release the promise." And so it was written, favor beyond measure. Relationships restored. Finances redirected. Honor returned. And above all, a spiritual clarity so bright that no deception could survive in your presence again. That's why the enemy tried so hard to distract you before this moment. That's why confusion clouded your mind recently. That's why you felt distant from God, not because He left you, but because the enemy knew what was coming. And if the enemy could keep you from opening your spirit in this moment, the scroll would remain unread. But you opened it. You said yes. You heard the call. And now, Archangel Michael has been granted permission to pour out what no one else on earth can receive in your place. Beloved, this is sacred. This is divine. This is for you alone. A reward for standing when everything in your life tried to break you. You didn't lose your faith. You didn't become bitter. You kept walking, even when no one clapped. Even when no one helped. And heaven recorded every step. Every sacrifice. Every whispered prayer that no one else heard. God was there. Michael was there. The angels were there. And now the reward is here. Look around you. What you see today will soon be overshadowed by what you're about to walk into. Everything ordinary is about to be touched by the extraordinary. Not because you earned it, but because you were faithful when no one was watching. And now, heaven is watching you. Watching to see how you carry this gift. Watching to see how you protect this moment. Because this is not the end, it is the divine beginning of something you've prayed for your entire life. And so Archangel Michael kneels before the throne once more, tears still falling, wings trembling with reverence, and says, "Father, they opened it. They received it. Now let the floodgates open." And the Father, mighty and majestic, rises from the mercy seat and declares in a voice that shakes both time and eternity, "Let it be done unto them according to what was spoken." It has begun. You've been walking through rooms that could not recognize your light, conversations that misunderstood your heart, and friendships that betrayed your trust, not because you were unworthy but because your worth was too divine for where you were. But now, beloved, Archangel Michael says, the repositioning has started. And the shaking you've been feeling? It wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to shake off everything that cannot go with you into your next season. Because what heaven is opening for you is sacred. Not everyone can come. Michael knows the weight of the message he carries for you. That's why he cried. That's why he waited. That's why he surrounded your home with stillness in the spirit, waiting for the exact second your heart would be open enough to receive this scroll. And now that you have, something irreversible has occurred. A heavenly transaction. A spiritual unlocking. A divine fulfillment of an ancient promise that was made over your soul when you were still in the womb of the morning. Heaven is not guessing with you. They are intentional. The decision was not just to bless you but to reveal you. The world has seen glimpses, but now heaven is unveiling the full radiance of your calling. The time of spiritual hiding is over. The time of being misunderstood is over. The time of tolerating dishonor is over. Archangel Michael has written your name in the scroll of divine movement. And that means heaven is about to move through your life with speed that confuses your enemies and beauty that brings your soul to tears. God is not giving you a blessing. God is making you the blessing. People will encounter you and feel peace they didn't know they were missing. Rooms will fall silent when you enter, not because of fear, but because your presence will carry a heavenly frequency. Your voice will begin to sound different. Your walk will begin to feel lighter. And you will notice that the burdens you once carried no longer sit on your shoulders. Because the scroll that was unsealed has not only brought provision, it has brought freedom. The reason you went through so much spiritual warfare wasn't because you were weak. It was because the enemy saw the meeting that happened in heaven. The scroll that was sealed for years is now unfolding line by line, word by word, like a divine melody written only for your spirit to hear. Heaven knew the exact hour your heart would be ready. And as you read this message, your soul is awakening not just to a prophecy, but to your original identity. The one you were born with but almost forgot because of the pain. Archangel Michael did not cry because of sorrow. He cried because he witnessed something that only angels in heaven can fully comprehend. He saw the full circle. He saw the moment God said, "Now is the time," and the weight of it shook the heavens. You see, in that sacred meeting, there was no debate, no confusion, only confirmation. The elders bowed their heads. The angels folded their wings. And God Himself stood to His feet and spoke your name into the atmosphere. Every syllable thundered through the corridors of eternity, and when He said your name, time shifted. What was once blocked began to move. What was once hidden began to reveal. What was once too far suddenly became near. That's why Archangel Michael was sent, not just to deliver a message but to unlock you. There is a room in heaven where your future was written. Inside that room, your tears were recorded. Every betrayal you survived, every heartbreak that should have broken you but didn't, every moment you chose to forgive when you had every right to hate, those decisions wrote volumes. And now, the ink has dried on a new chapter. A chapter that reads like victory, smells like restoration, and feels like peace. It is no longer coming, it has begun. It has already been released. Beloved, do not think lightly of what is happening in this moment. When Michael flew from the throne room, he didn't carry a sword, he carried a key. And the key was meant to unlock what had been divinely delayed. And now, the lock is broken. The chains have fallen. The door is open. You're not waiting anymore, you're walking through. Everything you lost will be restored, but not in the same form. God is not giving you back what you had. He is giving you something greater than what you thought you needed. That's why it took so long. That's why it hurts so much. Because what you're being given is not just a blessing. It is a rebirth. A reintroduction. A divine unveiling. The old version of you no longer exists in heaven's record. You have been upgraded, elevated, repositioned, and renamed in the Spirit. Archangel Michael now stands beside you in the unseen, whispering, "This is the moment heaven has been planning for years." And beloved, you feel it too. That shift in the atmosphere. That stirring in your chest. That knowing deep inside your bones. You've waited long enough. You've cried long enough. You've hoped in silence. But now, it is time to receive loudly. You will no longer apologize for your favor. You will no longer hide your gifts. You will no longer fear who walks away. Because now, you know who sent you. And who walks with you. You are not just remembered, you are marked. Not just chosen, you are anointed. Not just blessed, you are released. Heaven's decision is final. And it is sealed in joy, wrapped in tears, and delivered through fire. Walk through the door. Everything has already been prepared. There was something hidden beneath the silence of your life that even you couldn't see. A divine thread, invisible but unbreakable, pulling you through every valley, every storm, every confusing night where your prayers felt unanswered and your soul felt alone. But heaven was never blind to you. You were seen in secret. Watched from above. And now that secret favor is becoming public fulfillment. Archangel Michael watched the angels prepare your name on a golden scroll with trembling reverence. Not because they feared you, but because they recognized the divine light of someone heaven refuses to give up on. This is not a coincidence. It is a confirmation. You didn't stumble across this message, you were guided. There are no accidents in the spiritual realm. When you were crying and no one noticed, heaven did. When you gave and received betrayal in return, heaven recorded it. When you were quiet in the middle of injustice, heaven defended you in silence. And now, Archangel Michael declares with heavenly certainty, nothing that was taken from you will remain stolen. You are not late. You are right on time for the moment that was prophesied over you before your first breath. Every obstacle was just a shadow trying to hide the fact that you were still glowing. Your enemies didn't recognize who you truly were because their vision was never meant to see the sacred. But God knew. That's why He hid you. That's why you felt overlooked. You were not abandoned, you were protected until the appointed hour. And beloved, that hour is now. The angels have begun moving things in the natural realm. Conversations are happening about you behind doors you've never entered. Emails are being written with your name attached to new beginnings. A heart that once turned from you is suddenly remembering you, missing you, honoring you in silence. Money that was tied up in spiritual delay is being loosed. The favor that seemed to avoid you is being assigned to chase you. And the reason? Because God's calendar never fails. The divine appointment has arrived, and you are being escorted into it by the very angel who once stood with a sword, now standing with a seal. Michael says, "You have no idea how many rooms your spirit has entered without your body. People who've never met you are about to bless you. Opportunities that were never yours are being redirected into your hands. Not because of manipulation, but because of divine justice. For every night you stayed kind when you had the right to become cold, heaven stored a reward. And now, the vault of grace is opening. Slowly. Surely. Beautifully. God is not just about to change your life. He is about to reintroduce you to it. And you will not walk alone into that promise. Michael goes before you. He is already standing at the gate. And what's behind that gate is what generations before you prayed for, but God saved it for you. There is a reason you have been feeling strange lately, like you're standing at the edge of something you cannot yet see, like your spirit knows something your mind has not caught up to. That's not confusion, beloved. That's alignment. That's what happens when heaven begins to call your name louder than the noise of your past. Archangel Michael says, the reason you couldn't forget your dream is because God wouldn't let it die. Even when you tried to settle, even when you convinced yourself that average was enough, even when you whispered to yourself, maybe it's not meant to be, a louder whisper came from the throne, saying, yes, it is. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. The silence was not rejection, it was the sound of God working behind the veil. You thought He was absent, but He was busy writing the part of your story that had to be written in mystery, so that no one could steal it, sabotage it, or step into it before you. And now that chapter is being handed to Archangel Michael, and he is holding it like a sacred scroll, one that was sealed with your tears, written with your obedience, and destined for your hands only. You may not see it yet, but something is shifting. Heaven has started the countdown. The clouds are not just clouds, they are carriers of divine dispatch. They are moving to create openings in realms you have prayed into for years. You think you're waiting on the blessing, but the blessing is actually waiting for you to believe. It's been circling your name like a promise tied to your breath, waiting for the moment you would dare to expect again. Michael says, they thought they buried you. But they didn't know you were a seed. Every time you were overlooked, every time you were laughed at, every time they made you feel like you didn't belong, it watered something sacred in you. And now that seed has broken through the soil. Now, you are rising. But this time, not with bitterness. With peace. Not with anger. With power. Because you finally know who you are. And heaven does too. And because of that, new doors are opening that were never supposed to open for your name. Not because of your qualifications, but because of your inheritance. You are not trying to become blessed, you were born into blessing. And the angels know it. That's why they've been circling. That's why you felt an unusual presence around you. Your house has become a portal. Your hands have become altars. Your voice is a trumpet, waking up everything that was sleeping inside of you. This next season is not about striving. It's about receiving. And Archangel Michael is making sure nothing delays what has already been released. You don't need to fight anymore. Just stay open. Stay humble. Stay ready. Because your name is being announced in rooms your feet haven't touched yet. And when you walk in, the favor will already be seated and waiting for you. There is something deeply sacred happening in the background of your life, and even though your eyes may not yet perceive it, your spirit has already begun to recognize it. The tears you've cried in secret are not lost, they've become rivers of confirmation. Archangel Michael stands beside you not with a sword this time, but with scrolls in both hands. One is the scroll of what you thought your life was going to be. The other is the scroll of what heaven always knew it would be. And beloved, today God has made his decision. He is replacing your disappointment with divine clarity. You are not starting over. You are starting sacred. You see, while you were doubting yourself, heaven was discussing you. Angels debated how much favor to release all at once, because your heart had already proven itself faithful in seasons of famine. When people left, you didn't curse. When silence came, you still praised. When doors closed, you didn't break the walls, you waited with grace. And heaven took notes. You were not ignored. You were documented. And now that documentation is being transformed into divine manifestation. The angels are not just visiting your life, they are rewriting what others tried to erase. Michael speaks now not with thunder but with stillness. You have always belonged to the plan, even when the plan seemed to disappear. What you thought was a detour was a hidden path toward a destiny bigger than your imagination could hold. You prayed for survival, but heaven planned for overflow. You prayed for answers, but God planned for revelation. And now, that revelation is arriving in waves. You will notice it in the peace that returns without explanation. In the names that suddenly leave your spirit. In the dreams that become more vivid. It's all connected. It's all part of the decision that heaven made in your favor long before this pain began. They tried to convince you that it was over. That your story was too broken, too small, too late. But God preserved you. He kept you hidden while they judged your surface. He protected your soul while they misread your journey. And now He's revealing what they could never see, your anointing. That divine fingerprint that cannot be stolen, faked, or copied. Heaven is done negotiating with delay. Your breakthrough is no longer waiting for permission. It has been signed, sealed, sent. And this time, it will not pass you by. You were born for more than survival. You were born to lead, to rise, to rebuild something that others gave up on. And you will. Because heaven has decided. And what heaven decides cannot be overturned by man. The very thing that almost broke you will now bow before the blessing it unintentionally helped build. What you lost will return in divine form, purer, stronger, better. Not because you demanded it, but because you trusted God with your silence. Michael says this is not the end of the message, this is the point where the miracles begin to multiply. Heaven is not done speaking. And you, beloved, are not done receiving. The reason Archangel Michael weeps is not because of sadness, it is because he has witnessed what you endured and how you endured it. He saw the nights you held yourself together when the world around you crumbled. He saw how you never gave yourself credit for the storms you survived. You made it look easy, but only heaven knows how heavy it truly was. Michael was assigned to watch over you. Not just to protect you, but to observe and record every act of silent strength, every moment you chose kindness when vengeance would have been easier, every day you rose even when your heart was dragging behind your feet. And now, in the courts of heaven, the record has been reviewed. And a holy verdict has been written in gold, this one is ready. Not ready because everything is perfect, not ready because you have all the answers. But ready because your soul remained open while your life was under pressure. And heaven considers that more valuable than perfection. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are on holy time. Every delay was protection. Every silence was preparation. Every loss was purification. Now, what heaven has planned can no longer be withheld, because it was never about just the destination, it was about the shaping of your spirit. And beloved, your spirit is shining now in ways even you cannot yet see. Michael wants you to understand that this meeting in heaven wasn't random, it was sacred. It was about setting into motion a series of events that will cause everything to align. New names will be introduced into your life. New opportunities will feel like they were made just for you. And that's because they were. These blessings are not coming by accident, they are arriving by instruction. Divine instruction. Archangelic orders. Your name was spoken in the same breath as mercy, favor, and justice. And the heavens responded with, release it. There are treasures that were stored up for you, blessings that were marked with your name but delayed until your spirit could carry them with wisdom and humility. And now those treasures are being unlocked. You will find them in unexpected people, in spontaneous moments, in small whispers of peace that feel like home. God has not forgotten you. He's been preparing a life that matches your hidden strength. So walk into these next moments not with fear, but with reverence. Something holy is walking with you now. The same Archangel who guarded you through your lowest valley is now clearing the path in front of you. He is not just defending you, he is presenting you. Presenting you to the future that has been crying for your arrival. And though you may still hear the echoes of old pain, they will no longer hold power. Heaven's decision is final. What was meant to destroy you has already been disarmed. What was meant to embarrass you will now exalt you. And what was hidden from you will be revealed for you. You are not late. You are right on the edge of something eternal. You are not weak. You are carrying heaven's blueprint with every breath. And you are not finished. You are just now being truly seen. There is a reason this message reached you and not someone else. It's because your spirit responded before your mind could catch up. Your soul already recognized the frequency of heaven's voice calling to you. Do you feel that warmth in your chest? That pull in your heart? That's not imagination. That's your spirit remembering a promise God made to you long before the pain tried to erase it. And Archangel Michael is weeping, because after all this time, after all the detours, after all the heartbreaks and disappointments, you still made it here. To this moment. To this sacred unveiling. There were battles you fought that no one clapped for. There were nights you cried out loud with no reply, and yet you kept waking up. You kept showing up. And even when your hands were empty, your heart never stopped hoping. That's what moved heaven. That's why the scroll with your name was opened in the heavenly court. Not because of perfection, but because of your endurance. The kind of strength that only grows in silence. The kind of faith that never asks for applause. The kind of soul that heaven waits patiently to bless. What's coming next is not just a miracle, it's a reward. A divine repayment. Not only for the time lost but for the innocence stolen, the peace disturbed, the years you spent misunderstood. Heaven is restoring your name, your light, your joy. And you will not need to chase it. The miracle is already on its way to find you. You don't have to prove anything. You've already been chosen. The evidence of that is this message. The meeting in heaven wasn't about discussing your past, it was about unlocking your future. Do you know what they said, in the heavenly realm? They said, "Let the one who has suffered in silence be honored in public." They said, "Let the one who gave without expectation be given without delay." They said, "This child of light is now ready to carry the crown of restoration." Beloved, the crown is not physical. It is spiritual. It is favor. It is grace. It is discernment. It is divine visibility. Where you were once overlooked, you will now be spotlighted. Where doors once closed, new doors will open without effort. You are about to walk into rooms where you don't have to prove yourself because your presence alone will speak for you. You are about to receive news that validates everything you prayed for in secret. You are about to be loved in a way that doesn't make you question your worth. Michael says, "You are not forgotten. You are not random. You are royal in a spiritual sense. And the heavens have just cleared every interference from the path designed for your next season. All you need to do now is stay open. Stay gentle. Stay grounded. Because everything you've been waiting for is already en route. It may not come from the person you expected. It may not look like what you planned. But it will be greater. It will be peaceful. It will be healing. And it will be yours. So if you feel overwhelmed now, let yourself cry. That's not weakness. That's release. You've been holding on so long. Now you get to let go. Now you get to be carried. Now you get to receive. Heaven is not late. You are not too broken. Your miracle has not forgotten the address of your soul. And Michael is still here. Still watching. Still protecting. Still declaring, this one belongs to God. Beloved, now that you've come this far, I want you to understand something few are ever told. Your delay was not denial, your detour was not destruction, and your brokenness was never abandonment, it was sacred preparation. Everything you were put through was not to punish you but to purify you. God did not forget you. He was forming you. Every unanswered prayer was heaven's way of rearranging the timing so that what is coming could arrive without resistance. And now, the divine alignment has been completed. It is no longer about waiting. It is about receiving. You must understand why Archangel Michael was crying. It wasn't just joy, it was relief. Because when you almost gave up, something in your spirit still whispered, hold on. When everyone else moved on, something inside you said, wait, this can't be the end. And that something, that whisper, that soft, almost invisible part of you, that was God Himself keeping your hope alive. That part of you became the reason the heavens stood still for a moment. That part of you became the evidence that even if the world ignores you, heaven will never remain silent. There was a spiritual courtroom gathering that took place exactly 3 weeks ago. Michael, standing with robes dipped in flame, stood in front of the heavenly elders, speaking your name. Not your mistakes. Not your weakness. Not your past. Your name. And God said, let it be done. What others thought would break you has become the cornerstone of your testimony. What they stole will now be returned. What was hidden will now be revealed. And what was blocked is now open, open beyond measure. Your life is not just about what you do, it's about what flows through you. There is a miracle assigned to your name. A wind that carries your future. It is invisible to the naked eye, but Archangel Michael has already cleared the pathway. The person who once ignored you will begin to look for you. The opportunity that once passed you will come back and beg for you. The home you dreamed of, the healing you prayed for, the peace that felt impossible, it is now gathering around you in quiet waves, because God speaks in waves, not in noise. This is the time where heaven watches your response, not your qualifications. Not your titles. Not your follower count. Not your perfection. But your posture. Will you open your hands to receive what you never had to earn? Will you trust the unfolding, even when it comes from unexpected directions? Will you allow joy to return without guilt? Will you believe again, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is possible? Beloved, Michael says, you have waited long enough. Now it's heaven's turn to act. Let tears fall if they must. Let joy return without explanation. Let love find you where grief once lived. Let your heart be reminded that your story is not over, because what's written for you cannot be erased by man. The miracle was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to believe again. And today, you finally did. There was a scroll sealed with gold resting on a table carved by eternity itself. And only one name was written on it, yours. Archangel Michael stood before it with trembling reverence, not because he feared what was inside, but because of the sheer magnitude of what was about to be released. That scroll had been sealed for years, protected through storms, shielded from evil, kept hidden even from those who walked closest to you. And now, as the divine clock approached this very moment, the seal was broken, not by force, not by effort, but by divine permission. Because you were ready. Inside the scroll was a record of everything you thought God had forgotten. Every tear you cried alone. Every betrayal that left you numb. Every prayer you whispered with no answer. Every moment you smiled while bleeding inside. Every kindness you gave that was never returned. And written beside it all was not judgment, but reward. Not punishment, but restoration. God had been writing your justice story while the world was writing you off. And now, Archangel Michael has been sent to deliver what was stored for your appointed time. And this is it. You're not late. You're right on time. You didn't miss it. You were being positioned. The delay was not because God changed his mind about you, it was because he was changing the battlefield in your favor. There were people in your life who had to leave. There were opportunities that had to collapse. There were seasons that had to end. Not because you were cursed, but because God was protecting the integrity of your elevation. You didn't lose time. You were being escorted by angels behind the scenes so that the door that opens now will not close again. This message isn't to hype you. This isn't fantasy. This is prophetic release. Michael is not just speaking to your mind, he's reaching for your soul. Because your soul remembers what your heart forgot. Your soul remembers the moment in the heavens when your name was called and light moved. Your soul remembers the promises made before you were born. Your soul remembers the moment your purpose was chosen, and today, heaven is activating it again. Not for tomorrow. Not for next year. Now. Someone who underestimated you will soon speak your name in places they never wanted you to be heard. The person who thought they silenced you will now watch you rise without lifting your voice. The blessing coming is not compensation, it is confirmation. Confirmation that God still writes better stories than man. Confirmation that miracles are not just possible, they are personal. Confirmation that heaven has not stopped choosing you, even when you stopped choosing yourself. Beloved, breathe. Because what's coming will feel surreal, but it will be sacred. It will not come through the door you expected. It will come through a window only God can open. And when it does, you'll realize that what was broken was never your destiny. It was just the wrapping paper hiding your treasure. This is the moment where heaven kisses earth through your story. This is the hour where silence turns to testimony. This is the chapter where you stop surviving and begin receiving. Let tears fall, let breath return, let joy wake up inside you. Heaven didn't just remember you. Heaven celebrated you. And Archangel Michael, he never stopped believing you would find this moment. If you believe in God, type Amen or 444 or 555 or 0002 111. Subscribe for more videos.